Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. I am Gunnar Eos, and welcome to another episode of the Logical Gamers podcast. Today's going to be an episode that I am pretty hyped for because this is a game series that I have grown to love immensely and I fanboy over obsessively. So you might ask, what is that? Is it Zelda? Wrong. Incorrect statement. This is an episode. I'm here with Mr. Zeta Kaiser. Let me introduce my co-host for this one.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking about the Etrian Odyssey series. So, for those that don't know what Etrian Odyssey is, it is a first person dungeon crawling RPG that is not is it is predominantly it's at home on the DS line of systems. Started on the DS with the first game titled, you might have guessed it, Etrian Odyssey, that came out on May 15th, 2007 in the US, and ran all the way for 6 installments, ending at Etrian Odyssey Nexus, that came out on February 5th, 2019 on the 3DS. So this has been a game franchise that has spanned 2 consoles. And as recently as the recording of this video, the Etrian Odyssey Origins collection has come out on the Nintendo Switch, which is a redone version of Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3. So I figured with that game coming out and with a lot more people being exposed to the Etrian Odyssey series, I figured it would make this would be a good time to have an episode about this pretty, I guess, not diamond in the rough, but pretty niche RPG series, because not a lot of people know about it, but if you know about it, you know about it. So, before I, you know, before I ramble, because I'll have a tendency to ramble, I'll pass it off to Zeta, and I'll just ask you, how did you find out about the Etrian Odyssey series? Because I know I found out by watching you play. I'm like, what the fuck is this game? And you're like, this is Etrian Odyssey, and I'm like, the fuck's that? And then I jumped into it when Etrian Odyssey 4 came out, which that came out in August of 2013, August 30th of 2013. So I started playing Etrian Odyssey then. So,
Yeah.
like, how did you find it? Like, what kind of drew you to it?
That is a very good
I know
question.
this is we're going back in time. This is like fucking before the 2010s. The
Yeah,
first game came out.
yeah. So Jesus Christ, I'm going to say it was a trailer. I'm going to
Mm.
say it was a trailer, and the trailer was enough. That I was like, fuck it, I'm in. This is good. Because I said, yeah, this is a while ago. We're almost in freaking double digit years of it being out. So I
Yeah,
can't
last
be
game was
exact.
2019, so it's been a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, I can't remember. I'm just saying for the first game period, it's almost double digits.
Oh yeah, 2007.
Yeah, so I cannot remember why exactly it drew me in. I know I got it simply because this time I was a filthy filthy emulator user, so there were lots of games that I was trying out and being exposed to different types of genres and stuff of games. So
Oh yeah, that was during the R4 times, right?
yes,
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, R4, man, you like talk about Dolphin emulator and all this new shit. Fucking, you know where you used to buy your emulators? At GameStop. GameStop was selling emulation tools back in the day.
they didn't know. It was fine. It was just cartridges to them.
Yeah, it was.
They had no idea. But had that, and so I was on top of the R4 is also using my computer, so it was a bunch of stuff. So I played this evil game called Wizardry, which is a first person dungeon crawler RPG, and got my ass handed to me as most people do when they play that game. But I liked the genre as a whole, but it's as you'll learn, I guess as we go on from the Etrian Odyssey series, which I'm surprised it got as many games as it does. It's not an expansive uh genre. It's very small because they kind of their selling point is mostly the difficulty because It's very simple. You go into dungeon and then you deal with whatever's in the dungeon and you try to make it back alive and you just very slow progression. So
Right, right, right.
so I was interested in it, but at the time there's just not a lot of games that do it. So when I saw the trailer for the first Etrian Odyssey, I was just like, oh, I like this. Let's try this out and see how it goes. And yeah, from there I've been hooked ever since. I think the only thing I don't have is some random spinoff because
Well, there are two spin-offs. There are Etrian Odyssey dungeon. It's like a
the mystery dungeon, yeah,
mystery. Yeah, you go. Which is a whole different like line of RPGs, the mystery dungeon games. So there's Pokemon Mystery Dungeon,
yeah,
there's Etrian Odyssey Mystery Dungeon. That yeah, I didn't include that here because I tried to keep it just mainline Etrian Odyssey.
okay,
I mean we opened the door, so I'll mention them. For those of you who are Persona fans, there was also Persona based Etrian Odyssey games, which were the same style as Etrian Odyssey, but featuring Persona. So it was Persona Q, which had the characters from Persona 3 and 4, because those were the latest games at the time, and then Persona Q2, which had 3, 4, and 5, because P5 was the latest Persona game at that time. So they play exactly like Etrian Odyssey, but they mix in the Persona, whereas you can control all the characters essentially from 3, 4, and 5, and they still have their personas, and you can summon demons. So that was a really good mesh of two different games, and that's what I wanted. A little bit of a tangent. That's what I wanted from fucking the Shimigami Cross Fire Emblem game that we got.
we did
That's
not
not what we got.
we did not get that at all.
Yeah, we got Persona with Fire Emblem characters, but
Yeah,
I could rant about all day about that. But yeah, so those were spin-offs. Zeta brought up a good point. They had those spin-offs.
yeah,
And you
yeah.
still have your
I
originals, right?
I have I don't think I have Q2, but I have the first one. I have basically every game, but I think Nexus, where I
Mm.
can't find it. But I have all the originals of everything other than Nexus, the mystery dungeon, because I was just like, I don't really care about regular Pokemon mystery dungeon, so I don't. There's no point for me to get this because it's not going to be the same. So I don't have those. But as far as like the mainline stuff goes, and that one Persona spinoff, I have that because I don't know if we even got the second one.
I think we did. I think we did get in the U.S. I remember distinctly saying I'll pick it up at some point, and that
Right.
some point
Well, you
20 years later
said that way too many
never
times.
happened. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I'm a little bit jealous because those originals, Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3, whew,
Yeah,
they are fucking pricey.
yeah. I looked before the remake came out just to see. Yeah, they are even. Well, I guess what you call it is not that bad. Just to go on the side thing because they technically remade one
They
and
did.
two.
They did. Yeah.
So we have the Millennium Girl and the Fafnir Knight. So
Yes.
I think those are a little bit on the cheaper side by comparison to like the absolute original DS games. But yeah,
Yep.
there wasn't one for three, unfortunately.
Which always like boggled my mind because me and you and everybody thought, okay, well they did a remake of 1, they did a remake of 2, 4 was the latest at the time. A third one is obviously coming and it never
Yeah,
did.
they went straight to five, and then after that, they was like, all right, we're done because I think at the time the 3DS was about to be put out of commission. So it's like, all right, one final hurrah. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place. And I should save this for
No,
last.
no,
But
no, God,
yeah,
no. We fucking we free ball here. Don't worry about that.
yeah, but yeah, it was like this was the last hurrah for the 3DS, and it was like, all right, we're going out with a bang. Here's Nexus. Here's all these classes. Here's all this stuff. This is going to be our farewell to the system, or the two systems that basically built up this franchise for us and did
Mm.
probably way more numbers than what we were expecting, all things considered. But yeah, the, the fall off from that was we never got a remake of three and what that would have possibly brought.
Yeah, I mean, because that's how I ended up playing 1 was Millennium Girl and Fafnir Knight, and I really liked where they implemented a story mode because I'm too much of a I don't want to use ADHD because I don't have that, but I'm too much of a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff. So it's just like me personally, I have a really hard time picking a party because it's always like I feel like I could be better. I feel like I could make my party that much stronger if I just changed out this class for this class. So I get into this vicious cycle of constantly doing new teams, and I get
Yeah,
nowhere in the game. So,
yeah,
so what I liked about Millennium Girl and Fafnir Knight was that they had a story mode, which they gave you characters. You had characters with names. You didn't create your party like you traditionally do, even though they did have that mode. Essentially, they had the original game
yeah.
coupled with
Basically,
the original game, but with story characters. And I love that because it was like, okay, I'm picking these characters, or these characters are being given to me, and they're basic, right? You have your Fafnir Knight in the second game, your Highlander in the first. They're brand new classes, but then they had um what was it? A protector, which is
yeah.
fucking
Just
us.
generic old knight.
Yeah, tank, and then one of them had two had War Magus, which is like, all right, do you want debuffs or do you want magic? Um, what is it? Millennium Girl had basically a standard mage,
Yeah, yeah.
and
'Cause it's just the first game, so we're going with tried and true classes. So here's mage, here is medic, here is survivalist, which is basically
yes,
an archer.
yeah, and so like that was easy. It's like, all right, this traditional D&D style party, I can work with that because like a good thing and a bad thing, at least for me, about Etrian Odyssey is that depending on the classes you have, you can have some wonky ass party setups. I've seen people do, oh, I'm an all ailment party and I'll just lock down the boss and he'll never touch me, so I don't need a tank, I don't need a
Yeah,
healer, and it's like, whoa, that's a lot for me. Like I need that safety net of someone healing me.
yeah, yeah. Because you can really, I guess we should go into that. It was just how things can break down, just as far as the game is concerned. Because yeah, you build up your both your party and what the classes and what it is that they do. Because you can have a medic, but your medic doesn't just necessarily mean that it is a healer. You can have a medic that is like I want to say pseudo paladin, but it's not really a paladin. It's more of like a battle mage, where it's just like I can heal and I will do stuff, but I'm not like
Right.
I'm not a dedicated mage or a dedicated healer. So where it's like I'll take away status effects or I'll revive people. Like you can really change up how you want people to be like, or like you can make a protector but not give them a shield. You can give them just being pure damage or being like what's his name from Final Fantasy 9?
Steiner?
Yeah, so you could be like Steiner where it's just like, all right, I have elemental swords and I do all types of elemental things.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's actually okay, that is a very good point. So for those that don't know, like Zeta said, Etrian Odyssey kind of has a multitude of classes. Excuse me. Obviously, the first one was pretty standard. You had like your land shit or your land shark, as the community has called it, which are essentially just they got really crazy later on, but basically before they were just your standard DPS. They they attacked, and that was about it. You had your protector, which was a standard tank. You had your medic, which, as the name implies, they they can heal. Their specialties were either healing individually or line healing, as the game calls it, because your formation is 2 rows. So you have your front row, which is a max of 3 people, and then your back row, which can have 3 people. And in the wonkier setups, like I talked about, some people do have that, but usually it's 2 people, and that's where you put your squishy people because they take less damage in the back row, kind of like old school Final Fantasy. Um, so as the game evolved, right, these are like 6 games. The classes got crazy. They started adding subclassing. They started adding advanced classing. they started adding grimoire stones. So like your character customization to kind of make the party that you want grew immensely as the game progressed.
Yeah.
It was fucking nuts.
Yeah, you could have just the whole party. It's like, all right, this is the party that's going to go through, basically just explore the field, and then you can have a separate party. It's like this party is dedicated to boss killing, or this is
Yeah.
a party for just gathering resources, because
Yes.
you had that as well.
Yes, I was gonna mention that. Now I didn't play again. I didn't play Etrian Odyssey 3 where this class was introduced. I saw them in Nexus, but I love the farmer class, which is
Farm.
like why is there a farmer class in an RPG? They can be used for battle, but what I use them for is exactly what Zeta said. I would use them in kind of like a farming party. So after I cleared the floor, if I want to buy like the best armor and the best weapons and best accessories for my main exploration team, I would just run around a couple of times with my farming team and just collecting resources, collecting food, like collecting monster parts, and it worked. That was the crazy thing. Like that was a viable strategy. I was like, oh, farmer's awesome. Where did this class come from? Etrian Odyssey 3. I'm like, oh, the
Yeah.
one I never got to play. Okay.
The
Okay.
remake we never got.
Uh, well, I mean, now we got it. Not a remake, but we got
Yeah.
it. Now I'm going to play Etrian Odyssey 3 soon, and thanks to the Switch, the Origins collection, I now get to play it. Um, so let me see. Yeah, so
I would ask, because for me it's an easier question. I would ask, do you have anyone that you particularly like over the other?
oh, is the Etrian Odysseys? That's a good question because recently I started playing through all of them. I finished Millennium Girl, Fafnir Night again. I obviously couldn't play 3, so I went to 4, and I have to come back to 4 because I don't remember this, and it goes to show how much my patience has admittedly gone down. I didn't know there was no speed up option in 4,
No.
and I'm like, God, these battles are taking years. Like,
Yeah.
where's the speed up? So I'm checking the internet. I'm like, bro, there is no speed up. I'm like,
Nope.
what?
That was a modern uh modern achievement, I would say.
Yeah.
I would,
So
I
I
would
went.
give.
I put that on the show. I'll come back to it. I swear, I'm not a fake fan. Um, and I started playing Etrian Odyssey 5, which does have speed up.
Yes.
Um, and I'll probably play Nexus, and then I'll play 3 because unfortunately, I gotta get the Asian version to get the physical copy, and I'm a boomer, so right now the game's a digital only.
Waiting for
So
mine in the mail.
yeah, so I'm
Ready
probably
to
gonna
play
be doing
Asia.
the same. Yeah. So okay, back to your question about favorite one. So honestly, it's a tie for me. Honestly, my favorite ones are Millennium Girl and Fafnir Night because of the aforementioned story mode.
Yeah.
So the thing about Etrian Odyssey that I like, but it I can't say I dislike it, but I like when the story is kind of scripted out. So
Yeah.
Etrian Odyssey kind of plays like D&D, where it's your party goes into the dungeon, they find this mysterious monster. It's kind of that's Western style RPGing, and I like that. But it's hard for me to have a. This is gonna sound really like fucking actually, but it's like I like to have a connection with the characters that
I
I'm
was just
playing
about to say
with.
that I need a connection.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, I don't need to see myself represented. Trust me, folks, I don't. Um, but it's harder when you just have like a character. I'm not good at what you call it not role playing.
The
I'm not good at
imagination thing.
yeah. What's the proper word?
I don't
I'm
remember.
not
I just know it's projecting your imagination onto the
yeah,
camera.
I'm not the best at it, so I can't like make a character, name her, and then suddenly in my head I'm giving her like a whole fucking canon backstory. That's
Yeah.
just not me. So what I liked about Millennium Girl and Fafnir Night was that you had characters. Right? These characters had names. The only characters you could name were the Fafnir Knight and the Highlander. So I was like, okay, I can focus on this character and give him like a canonical backstory in my head. So, and again, it also kind of allowed me to play the game because I didn't have to worry about making best in slot characters. Now, you could like reclass these characters, so you could make Bertrand, which was your protector for the second game. You could make him a different class if you wanted to. But one,
I
you'd
don't know
be
why you would do that.
yeah, you'd be gimping yourself because the way they did it is their stats are geared towards that class that they made them. So if you made him a samurai, I forgot the official Etrian Odyssey.
Ronin.
There you go. If you made him a Ronin, he would be a horrible Ronin. But the game will let you do it. They won't stop you. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, so fine. I'm just gonna keep him a protector. So it just kind of narrowed it down for me and made it easier for me to play without going to the vicious cycle that I have of always looking for the best in slot team. This was my best in slot team, and I'm just gonna build them to their strength. So, bringing it back around to your question, for me, it's a tie between Fafnir Knight and Millennium Girl. Fafnir Knight kind of edging it out because it came out, I believe, after 5. So it had like the modern,
Yeah, it
like
did.
map making
Yeah.
mechanics. So Fafnir Knight kind of winning it out just because the quality of life stuff from 5 was in that game. So yeah, yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. I'm super boomer. I don't mind anything. So like for me it's still a tie, but like it's between the first one because I'm always like that. Because I just like how things evolve. Like how Final Fantasy 1 is still my favorite.
Okay.
But it's between that and I want to say 4. Like I like Millennium Girl and Fafnir Night, but I don't like this is gonna sound very, very nitpicky. But I don't like Millennium Girl because like the trailer. If you played the first one and beat it, if you play Millennium Girl and like the trailer shows. I'm about to spoil some stuff, but I mean it's
Hey
first
man, if
person
you
RPG. It's not that.
yeah, if you show up to an Etrian Odyssey podcast, we never said it wasn't spoiler free.
Yeah. But yeah, if you don't know, now you will. The story for the first one is that basically the town makes its money by people constantly coming in and out trying to explore the labyrinth. But the deeper you get down to the bottom, the closer you're getting to the truth as to why the labyrinth is that way or what the guy is doing. And basically mayor in charge is just like, all right, you're getting too close. I got to get rid of you. And the trailer for the Millennium Girl, they show the mayor basically, and then they show him doing an evil smirk, and foreshadowing things. This is like, you've ruined it. I know
See?
because I beat it, but
Okay.
like if you don't know, you're just like, oh, he's just being menacing for no reason. But for me, having played the original when it came out, that was a huge plot twist because you don't really get any indication that he's like that. Like he's just it's like if anybody's I'm sure they have, but like if anybody's seen Full Metal Alchemist, it's like the major there. Like you get no real inclination that he is evil until like the very end, and you're just like, holy shit, this guy has been running this from the side the entire time.
You know what?
And
That's a very good point. Yeah.
yeah, and so like that trailer for me was just like, I mean, I already knew because it's a remake, but still, it's just like y'all didn't have to do that. Y'all could have just had him be normal. You didn't really have to put it in the trailer that he's like looking in a menacing way to show that he's gonna do something. So yeah, that's the first game. He has that, and the people you see, the Ronin girl, and I forget what the other person was. I don't remember if she was a hex or she was a mage, but I just don't remember what her job was. But the
Wasn't she? I
two,
think she was a hexer, right? Or no?
I
Was
think
Hexer in the first one?
that's the problem. I don't remember which one.
But
Whatever is the
I know.
equivalent of a black mage, yeah. Like you would see
Okay.
them periodically as you're going down, and they would help you out and stuff. But then you find out that they are working for him. So they're in on it as well, and their job is basically to stop anybody from getting getting too close to the bottom and finding out the actual truth.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I know people like to say that, oh, these games don't really have story or da 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 da. Da," and I'm just like, it's there, but you have to read it, which I feel is a bigger issue. People don't want to have to read things to figure out stories or get anything out of it. Like obviously, it's not the deepest thing in the world, but it was still something that I like. That is like this whole thing is just basically a scheme for the mayor to get essentially to get people to die to like feed the labyrinth energy.
Yeah, which there was like very fucked up. When I got there, I was like, oh.
Yeah, yeah. So the first one for that is just like that story beat is just like, oh, this is fucked up. I like this.
Okay. Okay.
Guys, cool. I
Yeah.
think it was for his daughter, her child, his family. So it was something. I forgot like his actual motivation as to why he was doing it and kept it going. But just overall, I was like, oh, this is fucked up. I like this. And then 4 is just because it was like the first one on the 3DS. So I was like, at that time, I was like, oh, I don't think they're going to do this anymore. And then they made 4, and then 4 until they made the like you said the speed up and everything. 4 for me was like this is way faster than what I was used to at the time. But then it got even faster than that. So now
Yeah.
you
Now
going backwards, obviously, it's just like oh, this is take forever. But
yeah, bro. I'm on TikTok. I'm on TikTok speed. We got to go. We got to start
said
battling
this should
quick.
have been done like 30 seconds ago. Why are we
My
still here?
my attention span is done. I'm already on to like 5 battles from now. But yeah, I could have sworn I was like, oh, I love turn-based combat, but it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, even I need a speed up mechanic. It showed me that. I'm like I would just see the slash come out. I'm like, bro, the damage is already out. I don't need to see this. Just get it out. Um, okay, but that's a good
Yeah,
point. That's a good point.
I'll go back to DS ones because oh god, you'll die of old age.
Hey, yeah, I got Millennium Girl, Fafnir Knight, or if I want to play straight vanilla, I now have the Origins collection, so
Yeah,
we're
which
good.
will most likely have even those, so you will have the speed up in there, or it'll just be faster in general, just
I
because.
imagine they'll have the speed up. I haven't, like I said, I'm like you. I'm waiting for the Asian copy. So I haven't touched them yet.
Okay.
Okay, cool. That was interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. That like obviously the story is there, and because it's just done very. I keep going back to D&D because that's obviously where they took their
Yeah, that's the
inspiration from.
inspirations.
Yeah, so like D&D, I imagine it's just like the dungeon master explaining, but in this case, it's still JRPG because you have like the mayor and the Ronin, and they're speaking to you, and then Wolfgar, he's speaking to you. Was that no? Sorry, Wolfgar from the second game. That's fake news. Don't listen to that one. Um, so you have like characters
Yeah.
that speak to you. So that's where it kind of feels like a JRPG, but then it does have like the instances when you're in the dungeon and it's you see the first boss and it's like a DM DM
Content writing, yeah.
describing the boss to you.
Yeah, because
So
that's what happened. Like they'll have little mini events in the game, so like certain parts on the map where it'll just be like, ah, your party, freaking old flowery words, come upon a freaking a lake whose water is very clear and blah 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 blah. Do you drink it? And
right,
who drinks
exact
it?
right. Yeah, then you would pick a party member and hope to God it doesn't kill them.
Yeah,
And then
or
yeah.
poisons, or one of the ones in because a lot of what I remember comes from the first one because that obviously left the biggest impression. But
Mm.
you, one of the things is you get to it gives you a rest, so you get to sleep, but then you wake up and there's like I forgot what they're called, but they're basically like mole rats. You wake up and you're surrounded by mole rats, so now you have
Oh yes, I remember that one. Yeah. Yeah.
that, and at the stage that you're probably at, mole rats are a little bit more difficult to deal with than the regular enemies. So it's like, oh great, I healed myself, but now I've put myself in a very bad situation, so
Yeah,
I
and
may
you
or
could have
may not
lost
die.
more HP than you got back, and then the game won't apologize for it. They'll be like,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, you made this decision. This is your
yeah,
fault.
yeah, learn your
You
lesson
didn't have
next
to.
time.
Yeah, like you didn't have to sleep here. You didn't have to eat this random fruit, dummy. Now you're poisoned.
Yeah, which I loved about the game because it was just like again, I keep going back to D&D because it was just like a dungeon master putting a little trolley thing into his adventure to laugh at the players. It's like, you were greedy. You wanted that heal, didn't you? Well, that's what you get. You're poisoned now.
Yeah, that's what you get. And that's kind of why. Well, it's not kind of why. Like, it's one of the many reasons why I liked it. Because going to other games like Wizardry, it was less a chance and more like, yeah, I am going to, this is going to be fucked up more than likely. It's kind of 50-50 with Etrian
Mm.
Odyssey, and with freaking stuff like Wizardry is more like 90-10. It's like, this is probably something bad that you don't want to mess with, but you'll do it
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, I never ran into any of those situations in Etrian Odyssey that would cause me to wipe and get a game over. It was always just like I take a little bit of damage or a
You get
party
stuck
member's.
you get stuck in a
Yeah.
fight because something surprised you. So now it's like, oh, you've been back attacked. There was never really anything that was like too crippling, which I think is
Yes.
part of the reason why Etrian Odyssey got more games in by comparison to other in this genres, because like it wasn't like it's still challenging, and you'll still, if you don't do things correctly, you'll still lose, but it's not as bad as the other games can be that are in this genre. Like, it's not that punishing. Like I said, like, you'll somebody will get hurt, it's a little bit of damage, or like I said, you'll be in a bad fight, but if you're not too hurt, you can make it out, and then you just leave and then come back.
Yeah, it just like, oh shit, well I wanted to explore more, but now I lost 20 TP, so fuck, I guess I'm going back to the inn and
Yeah,
I'll come back again. So,
yeah.
yeah, it was never too bad. So another thing we could talk about, which has changed, is the art style of
Oh yeah.
Etrian Odyssey. So, again, like I said, my first exposure was Millennium Girl and Fafnir Night, and they had more of the modern art, kind of like Etrian Odyssey 4 and upwards, more like leaning towards 5, where they
Yeah.
really cleaned up the characters. So I was really shocked when, not in a bad way, but seeing how like the original games looked. Like it always had this really unique art style that they were very, what's the word I'm looking for? They're very plain looking. So it's just like, the protector is kind of like a big guy or girl with a
Yeah.
shield.
If it's whatever you think it is in your head, that's most likely what it is.
Yeah. And then
When
you go to like Nexus and they made them really, I don't want to use the word anime in a derogatory sense, but they made them,
they definitely anime.
yeah, they look a lot more anime, and especially in 5 and Nexus they added crazy customization. Well, as crazy as a first person RPG can get, where you can like customize their hair color, you can customize their eye color. They gave them voices now, so they speak in 5 and up, 5 and Nexus. They gave them voices, so when they do an attack, they'll say like a little line. They get damaged, they'll say a little line. And when you go to 1, it was just like, nope. Here's your character. Do you want it to be a man? Do you want it to be a woman? Um, okay, cool. Name them. Cool. All right, go.
Got basically two presets.
Yeah, like it wasn't even like the first one didn't even have color presets, I believe, right? Or did they do have color presets?
Uh, I have to go back to make sure, because I know or I'm almost certain for Millennium Girl it did, but for like the absolute original, I don't think so. I think it was like this is what it looked like, and then that's it.
Okay,
So it's
okay.
it's the two female knights, and then it's the two male knights, or two whatever, and then that's kind of it.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so like that was a big deal when Etrian Odyssey started gaining more popularity. Like you could change their color now. So it's like, do you want a knight with blonde hair or do you not want a knight with brunette hair? Those are your options. But like I think the art styles evolved. Obviously the budget got bigger, so they were able to um get like a, put more into the art. But there's something about the simple like art style from 1 to 4, I'll say, that I do like. I just like the simple art style. I like that the gunner class, because this is an Atlas game for those that don't know. I like how the gunner class is dressed like Jack Frost, the mascot for Atlas. Like I found that funny. It was like you wouldn't know unless you're playing, you know, Shimigami or Persona. Like, oh shit, the gunner looks like Jack Frost. And as the game evolved and started getting DLC, you can actually put them back in their old sprites. So you can like have a gunner, and you can have her look like the new Etrian Odyssey gunner, or you can have her look like the old Etrian Odyssey gunner. So I'm glad that they didn't throw away the old art. They kind of like, well, this is how we started. This is what made us us,
Yeah.
and they kept that old art style, which I really like that they did that.
I think they have something else, but that's more if you're just a Persona player where you can basically make them for Persona classes. So it's like having Q along with you as well. Because I believe you could turn into a Teddy and I think the main characters. I don't remember because I was like, I'm probably never going to use this, so I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, it's Teddy. You could do Teddy, the main character from SMT4, the main character from SMT3, Joker, because of course. Damn it, I was just playing it, so her name just escapes me. But the main character for Soul Hackers 2.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, because I think it's two. I think
It's two for each game.
it's two for each game. Yeah.
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 I just know I'm not going to use it because
No.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
if I wanted to play this, I'd play Q. I don't want to play you. I want to play Etrian Odyssey. So
Yeah. Like I love I like Persona, but if I'm gonna have a beast, it ain't gonna be Teddy. I want my hulking gorilla. I want like to bring Harambe back in Etrian Odyssey. So I'm picking the gorilla. I'm not picking Teddy. I'm sorry. No shame to P4 fans out there, but it's cool. It's just a pre-order bonus. It'll probably be sold. This isn't the first Etrian Odyssey to have DLC. After a while, I think after 4, Millennium Girl, Fafnir Knight, 5, and Nexus, they did embrace DLC.
Yeah, they did.
A lot of it was stuff to like, oh, do you want to level up faster? Do you want to earn resources faster? They did add missions that had you fight bosses, which I'm not sure your feelings on it, but I didn't mind it so much because the game has so much content already within it. There's even post game bosses that you can fight. So it's just like I didn't mind them adding optional bosses because a lot of them were like the final bosses from previous Etrian Odyssey games.
Yeah.
So they weren't supposed to be there in the first place.
No,
but
because it was like, how'd you get here? Just like I beat you, and you had a story purpose as to why you was where you was at.
right. But if you paid $1.99, like this is back in the day before. This ain't no Diablo fucking price tags over here. Before you spending 10 grand on a character, it was like $1.99. I think the most was maybe $5. So
it wasn't anything like too demanding, really.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I liked the EXP one because if I'm kind of like experimenting with new teams, if I can bring them up to speed quicker, it just shaves some grinding time. So I personally didn't mind it. And I will admit I did buy some of the DLC, and I'm glad that I did, one because the 3DS store is dead, and two because it makes the grinding a little bit not more bearable, but it just speeds it up a little bit.
It gives you room to experiment. One now could argue, but this was before this was a thing that was done. One could argue that it should have just been this way from the beginning, but where this was before, companies were greedy, where they were like purposefully diminish the EXP you get so that they could sell you an EXP bonus.
Right.
Like we didn't have to do this back then. This was, I don't remember how to do it, but you could get an EXP bonus. So this was just like a bonus on top of another bonus, where it's just like, all right, how much do you really want to experiment? Because that was something I ended up giving up on as like the games went on. Was like I would want to experiment with certain both jobs and stuff that they could do. Because like because they all have a class that does it, but basically you would have a class that specializes in like not status effects per se, but disabling body parts, because that was how the game is played. So it's like you would disable the enemy's head, you would disable their arms, you would disable their legs,
Oh,
and they would
I
be
love that
unable.
mechanic.
Yeah, they were unable to do certain moves. So like, let's just say, we'll just say bear because I can't remember the enemy. But the bear had a clawing move that would hit a whole line, and that bitch hurt. But
Hmm.
if you disabled his arms, and he tried, because they would still try to do it, but if they tried to do it, they just nothing would happen. So it'd be like a free turn for you, because
Yep.
that then the AI was stupid.
Yeah, I would love when they would do it, and I'd bind their arms, and it's just like, cannot use rending claw because arms are bound. Like, you feel stupid, don't you? You can't do
Yes,
it because your arms are bound, dummy.
you stupid. Get up with Chat GPT. Maybe next time you can do a move. But yeah, so like being able to experiment with that, because you'd have to go back, you'd be level one. Like the good thing is that I could, so long as I had money, I could give them like relevant gear, but
True, true.
they were still, they're still level one, and I still got to experiment. And these are, for lack of better words, these are roles, so they don't have the levels and they don't have the skill points in the skill that I want them to use to see how efficient it is. So
Right, you can't do the crazy stuff because they earn one skill point per level.
yeah,
So if you want to get it, if you wanted to experiment with a ranger, but your main party is now level 50, my man's going to be at level 1, and you got to get 50 levels on him to see what he can do, and you might not like it, but you invested all that time into him because you can't discern how good that character is going to be at level 1. You could look at all the skills, you could read what they do, you could read what they do from 1 to 5 or 10 depending on
yeah,
when the
depending on what the
skills would
skill
cap
is.
out. Yeah, but it's just like it's one thing to read it and then to see it in actual combat. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah,
have
because
to
like
grind them.
yeah, because like especially with like the people that bind body parts, like this is great, but what if what I'm fighting, the move that they use doesn't come from that body part? So it's like, all right, well, I've invested into this move that doesn't really do anything for what I'm currently fighting.
Right, and now you have like arguably a dead party member, not really dead, but dead as in his usefulness has been reduced to near zero. So now you're
Yeah.
fighting gimped essentially. And
Yeah. So yeah, I
yeah,
didn't mind the DLC with the EXP bonuses and
I
stuff
didn't
like that.
either.
Because
Yeah.
like I said, this was before companies agreed. Like this isn't Assassin's Creed where it's just like, which one was it? The
Um, Odyssey,
yes, it's not like
probably
that.
more than just Odyssey now, but it started in. I know for a fact it was an Odyssey.
Yeah, it's not like that where it's just like, oh, we're gonna purposefully give you less EXP to incentivize you to get this.
Right. We're gonna create the problem and sell you the solution, as the
Yes,
saying
exactly.
goes.
That's exactly what that was. This wasn't a thing back then. This was, here's just a boost to get you experimenting more.
Right. Yeah. So okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the DLC. I didn't mind the money and
Just because it
EXP
wasn't even that much
boosters.
anyways.
No, it didn't break the game wide open. It just gave you like, okay, so now I can re-equip a whole new class like you said, because that shit is not cheap, especially depending on where you are in the game. It'll cost you like a couple grand to equip a brand new character. So if I just get like a little bit of money to make that process a little bit less painful,
Fine with it.
cool. Yeah, but if you don't want it, then okay, you could still do it. You could still experiment. You're just
Yeah,
gonna be there for a bit. And if that's your jam, then you're happy. You don't care.
yeah, yeah. 'Cause like I said, that's what it ended up. I ended up just not. I would still experiment like once I was like done with the game, but like as far as like my first trial run would go, it'd be like, all right, I have my generic vanilla party of, all right, tanks, damage dealer, peeler, let's go. And then I'd have a sub party that was basically, they weren't high, but they were high enough to be able to like gather resources so that if I needed money, they'll run around the map a couple times, get everything, sell it, and then I'll switch back to the main party and let them do their thing, advance in the story.
Yep. Same, same, same. So we talked about our favorite Etrian Odyssey game. That sparked something in me. If I mean, there's a lot. So I mean, I know it might be hard to choose. What's your favorite class in
Oh,
Etrian Odyssey? Yeah, I know,
oh,
right? It's a
um,
lot. So you can have more than one. It's fine. I mean,
all right. Well, special treatment is going to Beast because it's not really a class. It's just like, said, you want a pet? Yeah, right, here's a pet. So all right, cool. So Beast is getting special treatment just because it's just like said I could have what's a color swap, but like you could have a panda with you. Like, all right, I'm in. Let's go.
Bro, there's something great about man with sword, woman with spear, gorilla. It's
Yeah,
like, why is there a gorilla in my party? I don't know. He just hangs out with us.
he's just here. He's cool.
He just fights.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Beast is
So
cool. I like
yeah,
Beast.
so them on the side because they just get special treatment. Um, God damn it. I'm, I'm so basic. I want to say freaking what you call it, but no, I think. I mean, it's essentially a mage, but I'm gonna go with freaking Zodiac from the third game. I don't normally
Zodiac,
pick
okay.
mages, but
See,
I
like
just
anything from 3, I'm like, what's a Zodiac? Like,
yeah, I just like it because it is basically a mage, but it's like it's fluffed up to be uh like being freaking all astrology and stuff. So it's like, oh, I am hitting you with meteors and the stars and the freaking
oh
dark
man,
matter and
so
all this other stuff.
your basic white girls will love that
Oh
class
yeah,
now.
yeah, pretty much. So I'm about to strike you down with the power of fucking Cancer and fucking Sagittarius. Don't fuck with me.
What's your sign? Dead. That's your sign.
Exactly.
Damn. Okay. See,
Yeah.
I
So,
did. Man, farmer and fucking um TikTok astrological girl. I didn't know they were in 3. So
see, man, it was the game we was always supposed to get.
yeah, man,
It was always supposed to get, and it didn't happen.
I would love to get it, but I saw it for $100. I was like, oh, I can't. Ugh.
So I don't want you that bad.
I still kind of regret not getting it, but anyway. Um. Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna be different because normally I pick anything that's warrior like or tank like, but I just like the theming of the Zodiac that I'll be taking that one. I think that's one my favorite.
Gotcha. Okay. So anybody else? So those are your two that you're sticking
Uh,
with.
what else? So I liked Gunner in 2, but I don't want to just automatically say Gunner because I think Gunner was also just very broken in 2, which is probably why I liked it,
Hmm.
as opposed to it just actually being like a favorite. Uh, yeah, no, I'll stick with Zodiac Beast, and I guess because it always changes. So like for it's the ones I was just talking about, like the ones that bind body parts, so the Dark Hunters. Like I like them a lot, but that's just because I just again this is based around the gimmick of you want to do move, too bad, I've bounded your arms. You want to
Yeah. Yeah.
freaking
Okay.
deer, you want to do donkey kick, too bad, your legs are bound.
I distinctly remember seeing Dark Hunter because when I was watching you play, I'm like, who is this Max Edgelord? Because they
Yeah,
always made the
yeah,
Dark Hunters mad edgy. They
yes,
had
they are.
whips, and it's like this is Edgelord people. But
They are.
okay,
They are very edge lord, but just I love them because it's just like, all right, you're not whatever move you want to do. If it involves this body part, you're not going to do it.
no, binding is great. I love binding. I
Yeah,
always try to go for binds.
yeah. So yeah, those would be my two. My
Okay.
my white girl Zodiac and my emo Dark Hunter.
Okay. Okay. And Beast. And Beast.
Yes, yes, beast number one.
Okay, Beast number 1. All right, so mine, my number one that if she's there, I'll always pick it is Sovereign,
Oh
which is
God.
why I was so hyped that Sovereign is on the cover of the Origins collection. I love Sovereign. That is my favorite class. So, for those that don't know, Sovereign is essentially just a princess or a prince, because we're equal genders here. Um, so you can have a prince or a princess, and pretty much all they do is they
Tell
lead.
everybody else what to do.
Yeah, they tell people what to do, but in terms of the actual game, they would like buff and heal at the same time. And I just found that such a cool concept. It's like, oh my god, it's like I, I can not have a dedicated healer, but I could have her buff my line and heal my line at the same time. And it was
Yeah,
just always cool because it was just this princess girl in armor, kind of like Joan of Arc, and she just had a staff and she would just raise it, or all of her character portraits were her raising the staff, and it's like, fucking, I love Sovereign. So I loved in Fafnir Night that the main girl, her default class was Sovereign. I was like, done. Like, I'm happy. A Sovereign is the main character. And if you guys look at the new art for the Origins collection, hey, Sovereign's front and center. So maybe Atlas agrees with me.
It's because
So
they know.
um so yeah, I love Sovereign. If there's a Sovereign, I always pick it. It's always on my team in some capacity. And my second favorite character is Lanchet.
Yeah,
I just
I
love.
didn't want to say it because it's just like this is so basic.
Nah, fuck it. I have been called a basic bitch by multiple people because I just go with like vanilla shit. But it's like Lanchet is just an all around great class. Now it does get wild later on when they can do linking stuff. They'll do elemental links.
Yeah.
But that's just metagaming simpness. But Lanchet is just a cool character. It's just so basic. It's a girl or a guy with a sword. He's like, I'm a warrior. I'm here, and I'm gonna smack something with my sword. That's what I'm here for.
So I'm here to do damage.
Yeah, and like then like if you wanted to ask me, well, what why Lanchet? Then I'll get into like the elemental link chaining, the normal attack link chaining. Right now I'm playing Etrian Odyssey 5, and they changed it from Lanchet to Fencer, but it's
Yeah,
fundamentally the same thing.
it's the
And
same thing. It's just a name.
and they can dodge tank. So I don't have a traditional tank. I have a Fencer, and she's doing dodge tanking, which is fucking fun as hell. But that's getting into the mechanics. I just like Lanchet because I think they're cool. They're basic as fuck, but they're cool looking. But number one is Sovereign because I just like the fact I can imagine in my head everybody's fighting, and then there's this really like high class. I go to Starbucks, that's my coffee shop. Girl in the back going, "Yay team, go team! Here's a buff, kill that monster." And it's like, if there was a cheerleader class, it's Sovereign, and that's my favorite class. Um, so now that we got that out of the way, one last topic, which is kind of relevant to the Origins collection that's coming out.
Yeah.
I was confident that when Nexus came out, that was it. There was
Yeah.
no like Etrian Odyssey was done. This was like the Smash Brothers of Etrian Odyssey. Everyone's here, and it was it. And then they announced this Origins collection, and I have mixed feelings about it. So on one hand, I love Etrian Odyssey. I love to see it on a brand new console, but I feel like a lot of its essence has been lost, and that's not blaming the game. It's not even blaming, but it's due to the system it was on. So the 3DS had the two screens, and it had the bottom touch screen, which you being able to draw your map. And the Switch is it's a one screen system. So if you've looked at the Origins, they've done their best. The Switch is a touch screen, and you can draw your map, but I don't know. There's just
It's not the same.
it isn't the same. It really isn't. So my question to you, and then I'll give my answer, is with the Origins collection coming out, where do you see like a future for the Etrian Odyssey series? Because it's not Atlas's big, like, let's be honest, their big boys are Shimigami Tensei and Persona. Like, so Atlas is very like the niche series, but it's popular enough. It has a hardcore fan base, and I'm part of it. Um, so like, where do you see Etrian Odyssey going? Do you see it continuing? Do you see it like finding a new home on the Switch? It's just kind of like the Origins collection is kind of an experiment to see if people give a shit still, or do you like Etrian Odyssey is it can never be more than what it is, and its peak gaming is on a system like the 3DS. Like, what are your thoughts on that overall future of Etrian Odyssey, I should say?
All right. Well, just go down a little bit. I believe I've said a couple of, if not multiple times. I know I've said it to you guys
Mm.
without question, but I don't know if I've said it on any of the podcasts on how it's like I was always confident that this would never come back for the exact thing that you said, because you drew the map on the touch screen. So that was kind of it had its core gameplay, but its gimmick was being able to draw the map on the screen. And while that may not seem like a big thing, it was part of the experience, and it is what,
Right.
and I feel like it's what also drew people into liking the games in the first place. Because yeah, obviously the map is already set out, but you were the one who were laying down the tiles, putting down the vents, marking what was a treasure, what was a harvest point,
Mhm.
marking down where stairs were, shortcuts, all this stuff. All this stuff came from you. It was obviously all already there, but it's a different feeling when you're the one doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
There. And part of that was like, oh, you're moving, but you're also using the map. So there's no real stop, where I believe it's auto mapping a little bit, but it's still not the same on the Switch. Like you can
Yeah.
do it, like you can use the touchscreen and stuff like you said to map it out, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's not the same. Yeah,
And
it's
it
not really
felt like,
seamless.
at least in my head, it felt like if I wanted to put myself into that dungeon, it felt like I'm holding a map, like I would
Yes.
be, like if I'm exploring a dungeon. Like I have the map, and I'm okay. We got to go north, guys. Okay, so it wasn't just me. Okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I've always felt, which is why I was always like, this isn't going to leave. Like we're not going to get this anywhere else. Like there were a couple. I believe this. I know I definitely didn't say on the podcast, but I believe I've brought this up as like a podcast discussion of what, when this got announced, was like, what about games that were or should have, that are kind of like stuck in a certain time period because of how the game was built. So like something like, The World's End With You, something like this, something like Hey You Pikachu, like games where it's just like, maybe not Hey You Pikachu, that was kind of crap. But just games that were like, they revolved around a particular gimmick or a particular way of playing. But like if you wanted to bring it to a different hardware, it's like, how do you compensate for the the gimmick basically not being there, or the hardware that enabled the gimmick not being there? Because like some people, it's not really a thing, but some people, for like say Metroid Prime, like if you see any people who really like Metroid Prime, some people complained about the controls, because like this doesn't feel right, because
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't have the GameCube controller, and it doesn't play like how I'm used to it playing on the GameCube, because it was built around the GameCube's controller and how to work around and how to use it. So you could make it go back to that way, but I don't think it was like that at the start. So
Yeah.
so yeah, just as a whole, I think this is a test to
Oh yeah.
maybe try and do something else, because like I said, I was always confident this was never going to come out, which, despite its price, which is a little bit on the pricier side, I was like, I have to do it, because I was adamant they would never make this, that this would never come out, because they can't replicate the gimmick. So why would they try? And they gave it to me. It's like, all right, well, here's my $70, because I'm not going to tell you no, when
Yeah.
and I was sure you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, to answer the question, I think it's tests to see if they can do another one, the same way I feel like the Battle Network is a test. Like that's less has a gimmick more than it's just it was a Game Boy Advance game. There was no real gimmick other than, I guess you consider, the very small, I forgot the name of the game, but the same with the solar, where you would use the sunlight to use that, with its collaboration with that game with Konami. But
Oh
past that, it was just a normal
yeah.
game. But
Yeah.
I so that didn't really have any gimmick. But I think it's a test to see if people are interested, and then they'll go from there, and they'll probably try and make a new series, but more more for the Switch, or just more generalized, which I don't think it will hit the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the thing. I feel like it'll just be just a generic dungeon crawler, which it seems dumb to say, but like having the map and doing the map really did make it stand out, even though it wasn't that something that deep. It was just a feeling while you're playing. that it gave you, that it just really can't be explained.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I feel the same as you. Um, I am glad this exists, and much like you, I have bought or will be buying the collection. It is pricey, and if anybody is turned off by that, I cannot blame them. They're asking a lot for essentially DS games.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it. For anybody out there watching, hearing, who's like, I'm not buying it because I'm not shelling out $80 to get this game, to get the collection, or $40 a piece. I get you. I get you. I'm not gonna fault you. But it's just like I've grown to love this series, so I will drop some money on it. And I agree with you. This is 100% a test. This is 100% them gauging to see if Etrian Odyssey could still be viable in the modern game market. And I think it does have a place, right? Etrian Odyssey is not trying to tout itself as the next Final Fantasy 16, where it's an action-based, high octane, graphical masterpiece. No, no, no. This is a basic, simple, fun, dungeon crawler game. But like you said, the map making and using the 3DS to create your map kind of set it apart from games like Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest was a first person. It used to be, and there are plenty of other first person dungeon crawlers out there. But I like to. I guess I'll lean more on the positive side. I think Etrian Odyssey has kind of carved its own niche in the dungeon crawling RPG space that people recognize it. Like, oh, this is an Etrian Odyssey game. Okay. So I think it could survive on its name brand. It's not a big boy, and I kind of don't want it to be a big boy. I
Oh
really
no.
don't. Yeah. So, like, we've seen plenty of games, Monster Hunter, the Persona series,
Yeah.
have gotten.
I don't want
Yeah.
normies involved.
Yeah. I'm like, so if this stays niche and it has its dedicated community that's not asking for all this dumb shit that they have in a lot of modern games, I'm happy to continue to support it. But I think if they continue on the Nintendo Switch with the brand new Etrian Odyssey 7, or they start fresh, um, because of what the Switch is, unfortunately, something will fundamentally be lost that made Etrian Odyssey what it was. And unless the Switch successor goes back to looking like the 3DS, we're never going to have that again.
Yeah, no.
So, like, if anybody's playing a theoretical new Etrian Odyssey series, they will never know what it was like to draw your map. And, that's something they're going to miss. They wouldn't know any better, but I would know better. You would know
Yeah,
better.
it's as they say, the ignorance is bliss part, because yeah, it's not this, it really is not the same if you played the originals, because it'll be like something will happen on the map, and it'll just be like, all right, I put an event here, and then you can write a little note of what's there. Like, all right, like you could write down poison berries, or you can write down like this heals you, and it may heal you, but it may not heal you for like uh forever. I guess is the best way, because like there was a healing spot that I found and I used it, and then it ran out of fruit, and I was like, oh, well, this is gone. I thought this was going to be here for the remainder, and I wrote down that this was a healing spot, and now it's just like, oh, this note means nothing now because I can't use it anymore. It's
Exactly. Yeah.
it's like
And
I don't even. I'm sure it is because they're remakes, but like if they continued, I don't know if they would have notes or anything like that, or if it would just
I
be
don't know.
it would
Yeah.
just be stickers and stuff like that, and then that's it. If whatever theoretical game gets to continue on the legacy.
Yeah, I'm scared that it'll just be like every other game with the map, that now it's just a menu you go to.
Yeah.
And maybe because I know later Etrian Odysseys they had auto mapping, which they would color in the tiles and the walls for you. Maybe that just becomes the standard, and you can, like you said, you put stickers to kind of indicate a special place, treasure chest, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe they have to make a concession, and they have to nix the map making part, which that hurt. But um, me personally, I'll speak for myself. If that means Etrian Odyssey could kind of stay alive, I'm all for it. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
I'll
give it
accept
up.
the evil.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's not like like I said, everybody knows I am a hoarder. I have stuff from like fucking PlayStation 1, and well, I have stuff from freaking Game Boy Color. I don't let anything go. So it's not like I can't go back
Right,
if I
right.
really wanted to. And like you said, it's not like it's a game that's going to break the bank. The most that comes from this is the monster designs and the character portraits and being able to customize those.
Yeah,
So it's not like it's not really like it takes much from them to make it. So it's very possible for them to continue it on. They would just have to just make just more monsters and just more cool designs, because a lot of the monster designs are cool.
they are. They really are. I mean, if Atlas kind of realizes that this is no Persona series, this is not going to be P5. If they're not going to
Yeah, if they're
continue the
not making
series,
fucking Square Enix decisions like, oh, this Tomb Raider sold over 1 million copies. This isn't enough. Get rid of this.
yeah, if they can like Atlas, like come on, Atlas, when P6 comes out, you're going to make your money. If you have to like just kind of like I'm talking to the mythological Atlas employee that's totally listening to this, but just realize that this is a niche series. Keep it niche. There's nothing wrong with it being niche. You will have your fan base that loves Etrian Odyssey that will buy your game when it drops. So I'm glad. I'm glad more people are being exposed to Etrian Odyssey. I
Yes.
hope people support it. Again, I get the price. I get it. If you just want to take a chance, buy the first one. It's $40. If you don't like the first one, you're not gonna like the series. So if you're kind of like unsure, look it up. I mean, hey, Nintendo might shoot you, but if you emulate an older Etrian Odyssey series to kind of see how it is, I won't snitch on you. Um, and try it out. Just see for yourself. It's a great little RPG. I'm glad Zeta exposed me to it because it's become one of my favorite RPGs, right up there with some of the older Final Fantasy games. And once again, I'm glad that it's still living in a way.
Yeah. I've gotten this. I've gotten Battle Network. So I'm getting all of my more smaller favorite games, and it's being exposed to more people. All I need now is Breath of Fire, and the Trinity will be complete.
I mean, Capcom's
That's
been doing
all I need
good,
left.
so I'll never say never.
Yes.
I said
Yeah,
never
I
with
said
Battle
never
Network.
before.
Yeah.
I said never before, and I got both of them. So now all I need is Breath of Fire,
Oh man, I would love.
minus minus the one for PS2. That can stay away. We don't need that one. That one's crap. That one is absolute crap. But
Yeah. So, I think we'll wrap it up here. We've kind of gushed about Etrian Odyssey for a while. Any last words before we close out, Zeta?
other than no, I can't even. Yes, I can. I don't care. It's expensive, but buy it. It's good. I promise you, it's good. Just buy if you don't want to listen to Gunner, listen to me. No, I would say because the first one is so basic. If you really want like the flair, get the third one. The third one is more of the benchmark of what everything turns into, because the third one we have like vehicles.
Oh, that's
Uh,
true. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if they introduce food in the third one or not, but if not, it's probably there now. But like it introduces what four and everything else becomes. So if you really want to start off with something, I would suggest the third one. But if not, my my old man ways say start off with the first one. So
Well, there you go. You've heard it from us. A couple Etron Odyssey old heads who have been around with the DS. If you don't know what that is, don't remind me because I'll feel old. Um,
why are you here?
why are you here? I'm glad you're here. But why play Biatron Odyssey like Zeta said. So I'll wrap it up here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again for listening. If you listened this long, thank you very much. Always appreciate it. If you're an Etrian Odyssey fan or you're interested by this series, leave a comment. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below, and we will make sure to answer them. Give us a like, give us a sub, follow us on the socials. We'll post all of them down. We got them all, whichever one you prefer. Look us up in that. You'll probably find us. Um, Mr. Esoteric, who's not here on this particular episode. He is the main streamer. He streams on Logical Gamers on Twitch every Monday and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. He's been on his Zelda Tears of the Kingdom grind, so he's been doing a lot more streams, impromptu streams, so to speak. So, hell, if you follow him, you like Zelda, he might stream on a Saturday at like 10 a.m. Who knows? But he'll be there, and it's always fun to watch him play Zelda, watch him get through the dungeons and whatnot. He's a variety streamer, so he kind of informed me I'll drop some. He's gonna mess around with Street Fighter 6. That's on the horizon. So if you're a fighting game fan, he plays. Yeah, or you're a Chun-Li fan, you'll see a lot of that in his streams. So check him out, definitely. And I think that's the whole YouTuber thing. I'm not very good at it. I usually don't do the closings, but it's my episode, so my rules. Anyway,
before we go, because we didn't talk about it,
go ahead.
Run that out here. If you do buy it, if you see any glowing balls on the map, run away. Just run away. Don't mess with the FOEs. You're probably not ready. I don't want you to get mad at it. I don't want you to get mad and then freaking delete the game and demand a refund. Just leave them alone.
Don't go on Twitter and fucking bitch, please. So yeah, anyway, that's our episode for the week. Thank you, Zeta Kaiser, for joining me today. Etrian Odyssey is great. Go try it out. And on that note, I will be signing off. Have a pleasant evening, everybody.
Later.